So, Jeff, what are closing costs and how much should I budget for them?
Oh, great question. It's funny, not a lot of people ask me about closing costs. It's interesting. It's always about the rate or how much do
I
I
think it's
qualify
because people
for?
don't know about the closing costs.
And that's
Everybody's so
probably,
stuck on down payment. So, for me, when I have my consultations with my buyers, I always bring up closing costs because they're like, wait, what? I have to come up with additional money? And I'm like, yeah.
and it's
Well,
not a
sometimes
small amount of
no.
money either. It's a big chunk of
No.
cash for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
closing costs are the cost of the loan of getting a mortgage put together. There's two kinds of closing costs that are involved in a mortgage. You got the hard cost of the loan. So that's going to be any origination fees that the lender charges, appraisal. You got title insurance, escrow. You got recording fees and different fees like that are part of your closing costs. I mean, rough range on hard costs of a loan are going to be anywhere from like 4,500 to maybe $6,500. Those are the hard costs of the loan. Those are what we call like one-time costs, so to speak. Things you'll never see again. Now, there's also prepaid items like taxes, insurance, and prepaid interest. We call those prepaid items. That's the second part of the closing costs. They can range randomly because they're really based on the day you close on the loan. Can have a big impact on it, the month and day you close. Also, like where you close in relation to when taxes are due has an impact on how much you need and things like that. That number can range anywhere, like say on a $500,000 purchase, that could range anywhere from, maybe 3,500 to as much as 6,500. So it can be a pretty wide range there. A good rough average on a $500,000 house is around 10 grand. 5,000 for the hard costs, 5,000 for the prepaid costs. You're right around 10,000 for the whole mix. Now, the closing costs, and Celine is really good at this, can be negotiated into the contract. So why don't you tell us what does that look like from your side when we're trying to get closing costs covered?
Yeah, no. So typically, I actually tell my buyers it's going to be about 3%. And maybe that's a very big chunk, but I'd rather, overdo it than underdo it. And so when I say earnest money, I say earnest money is 2%. That earnest money goes towards your closing costs. So we're good there. For closing costs, a lot of the times I try to call the listing agent, figure out exactly what the motivation is for the seller, and see how much interest there has been on the property. The home's been sitting for a while, then chances are we're going to be able to negotiate a lot, whether it's price or having the closing costs included. So, what I usually do is one of two things. I try to do either list price and have closing costs covered. And if we're competing against a lot of people, then I will say what closing cost is. So say it's like $10,000 and then the price is 500,000, I will offer 510,000 and then ask for $10,000 in seller credit so we can use that towards the closing cost or an interest rate buy down. The biggest thing there, though, is making sure that that home also appraises at 510, right? Because if it doesn't appraise by the appraiser that is hired by the lender, then it doesn't really matter because then that money is not really there. And then we have to reopen negotiations. But I've been very fortunate, especially in this market with interest rates being so high, to get asked for seller credits just because there aren't a lot of buyers out and sellers are starting to see that they need to help buyers a little bit.
That's what I'm seeing as well. Is like that's why I keep telling people this is a great opportunity to buy, is because it is more of a buyer's market. Now, are there houses that are getting multiple offers? Yes, but
Mhm.
are there houses that are not, or you're getting it for the list price and getting your closing costs paid? Yes, absolutely. So I feel like there's a lot of negotiation still left in the market right now. People that are waiting for the lower rates to happen are going to lose out on the negotiation power, and then it's going to be more competitive, and I think it's going to get more expensive as well. Closing cost wise, there's other ways to cover the closing costs too. I mean, we've got down payment assistance. Some of the programs will actually cover the closing costs as well. It's a little more expensive option, but that's also an option. The down payment assistance through the state of Washington actually cover a portion of the closing costs. So depending on what option you choose from them, you only need maybe $3,000 out of pocket to close out the deal with closing costs included. So there are some really low down options that way, but you can't forget about the closing costs. And ideally, and one of the reasons I love working with Celine is you want to negotiate it into the contract. And I think there's still a lot of opportunity to do that. You just need to work with somebody that has, I think a big part of it's the positive attitude. Yes, we can. Like I hear this, oh no, this is competitive. There's no way we can get closing costs. I'm like, why don't we ask, like, structure
Yes.
offer? Have you talked to listing agent? All the things you just said were things
Yep.
that doesn't happen very often. So it's important to me to work with a really good agent that's communicating with the listing agent and, finding out exactly what's needed, how we need to structure that offer so that we can not only get our offer accepted, but also get those closing costs covered at the same time.
Absolutely. Because for me, my philosophy is the answer is always no unless you ask.
Yeah.
Right. So even if it doesn't have to be like in writing, like I'm at least having that conversation. Hey, do you think they'd consider this?
Yeah.
And in most cases, they just say, put it on paper and we'll see. Worst case scenario, they say no. Mid case scenario, they counter. And best case scenario, they accept all of our terms and then we're under contract and moving forward with everything that we wanted. So just try. You
Yeah.
never know.
I
So
agree.
thanks so much, Jeff. Always appreciate you.